Hi, welcome to the next edition of Specialty List. I got 5 O's. I got 7 decks to talk about today. Some of them kind of overlap with each other. So we're going to get kind of bundling them together when we talk about a certain kind of deck. So if you like this kind of series, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bar for future videos. Comment down below which one of these decks is your favorite. We're on our way to 2,000 subs. And also, I mean, it really does help when you do view these videos because I do get some sort of, amount of ad revenue from it. So it's a free way of helping support the content that I do just by watching these videos. So I appreciate it. And let's get into the 7 decks that I have for you today. And let's get into it. So first on my list is Bant Spirits. I got a 5-0. This deck hasn't really been a part of the meta in a while. The fact that it's back and it's putting up some results is kind of nice. The fact that we still, play the Spell Queller, which is one of the more sweet cards in the deck. And of course, we have Wonder and Sailor and Rattles. Looks like only a couple Shacklegeist. Of course, we have our Lord, which is quite important. The newer additions in the sideboard, we got, 3 steps ahead for the control matchup. Got Shaper Sanctuary because it's just a really good green enchantment. I guess it does get temporary lockdown. That's like the only time it actually hurts. We got Portable Holes for the aggro and aggressive decks. Rakdos aggro is probably one of the more dominant decks right now. So it's kind of nice that we have additional removal for that matchup. We have some Rest in Pieces and some Unlicensed Hearse to deal with the Phoenix. Also Fang, even though Fang is not as prevalent as it could be. But, we have even Interrupter as a way to fight through, for tempo plays. Also kind of additional copies, more or less, of Spell Queller. So we probably cut Catilda or Skyclave Appetizers for it, just because the pure nature that in the matchups where we want these Skyclave Appetizers isn't really all that impressive. It doesn't really get to Fairy. It doesn't deal with counter spells. So we probably end up bringing even Interrupter and the 3 steps ahead against control. Then we have our Catilda for the aggressive aggro matchups. In that matchup, of course, we probably end up just trimming back on Spell Queller. It's not really helpful to have that kind of effect against aggro. Then we have Eidolon of Rhetoric as a way to fight through Phoenix to make them only cast 1 spell per turn. We also have that for Lotus Field and stuff like that, so they can only cast 1 spell. They can't really stop. It basically stops the combo. Then we also have Settle the Wreckage also to fight aggro. Since we're a deck that doesn't really want to, of course, do a 2-sided Wrath because we play a lot of creatures, we probably definitely want to bring Settle the Wreckage. Probably cut Lofty Denials. Actually, I just now realized that we're playing Lofty Denials. So yeah, against aggro, we definitely would end up cutting those, probably, or going down to a certain number for Settle the Wreckage and of Catilda. So that's pretty nice overall in Portable Holes. That is Bant Spirits. Let's get into the next list, which I think gets a huge addition with a brand new set. So next is Bogles. Now, super sad that we don't actually have the Scout on Arena. I don't know why the Wizards won't just print it. We did get a better Visitor in the new set that's not based off of cast triggers, but based off ETB inner effect, which is just much, much better, especially with Light Paws, since it does get a aura out of our deck and put it underneath it when we equip. This deck is playing a few Admirals and Myers, also the Light Paws, of course, and then we have Scout, which is just the best 1-drop because it does have Hexproof naturally. Looks like we're not playing the full playset of Light Paws, which seems kind of weird to me. We do have Obsession and Aquarius Form as a way to get card draw. We have a Cartouche as a way to add extra additional bodies. I guess Insight also helps with card draw and gives lifelink, which is kind of nice. Cartouche is mainly there for edict effects like Liliana the Veil. We have 1 Cryptomancer to help protect our Light Paws. Audacity to give our Light Paws or our Scouts some trample. After we get big, 3 boons because it just gives our stuff flying, which makes them harder to block. Thera Armor just makes our stuff get big. And then we have All That Glitters. That's kind of a tunable effect that we can put on our Light Paws if we cast another 2-drop, like Insight. And that also helps our Light Paws get big. Basically out of burn damage from a Phoenix player, right? That's kind of really important, especially with how the meta is right now. We do have 3 Stubborn Denials as a way to help against heavy amounts of removal decks that have edicts. And plus, we can easily get our stuff bigger than a 4-powered dude. So it's basically it's negate at 1 mana. 3 Rest in Peace for the Phoenix matchup as a way just to exile that yard. We have 2 Slip Out the Backs in case they have actual other kinds of edicts, right? So even if Cartouches Can't help against Shieldred's Edict, so we need this as a way to help battle against that. Also helps battle against sweepers. We have Hushbringer, decent effect overall that battles ETB effects. Also, I mean, it can stop, it does gain a little bit of life. I've never been a huge fan of Hushbringer, but I'm not sure how I want to have my version coming this next season, because there's a few cards I want to try out. There's a new one that has Flash. It gives a 1 creature +1/+1, and Hexproof. Hexproof is until end of turn. And also there's the new removal spell for 1 and a white. We have 3 Cryptomancers for protection spells. We could bring those in, probably cut the Admirers or the Visitors to make sure our Light Pulse stays alive. Yeah, that is Bogles for Pioneer. Let's get into the next list. So next on my list is Sultai Gwynna Azarok combo. Now this deck is trying to ramp into the Gwynna, and then post Gwynna, you tap 2 on Gwynna to cast the Azarok, which untaps the Gwynna, so we can keep just looping the Azarok. We do, like I said, we have 3 and 4 on the Elves. We have a Throwback because it's just a really good card to get off of Coco. We could just pay into it. Also, we could just dump our mana into a Atraxa if we just don't assemble the combo. We have 4 Cocos to help find our Rona/Gwynnas. We also have Kinnan as a way to help our Elves and our Gwynna to just tap for more mana, which helps cast Atraxa. We have Relic to help tap down our Gwynna or another legend like Rona to basically make it become mana. And then we have Honest Rootstein as a way to discount our Azarok. Also return our Azarok or a Gwynna if they remove it. Sideboard, we do have 4 Fatal Pushes for the aggressive Rakdos aggro decks that seem to be everywhere. We have 3 Thought Seizes to protect our combo. We have 1 Assassin's Trophy. Not really sure what that's for. It's not that great of a removal spell, but it almost fails. It can answer anything. 2 Yasharns as a way to stop sacrifice-based effects. We have 2 Hearses for Graveyard Hate for Phoenix, Throwback for Graveyard Hate for Phoenix, plus Artifact Enchantment removal. And against aggro, we also have Throwback to gain 4 life, or Innkeeper to also gain life. Then, of course, we have a free roll Jags, and since everything in our deck is 1 color of each. So that is Gwynna combo for Pioneer. Let's get into the next list. So next on my list is a different take on the deck. It doesn't really go all in on the combo per se, right? We have 2 Gwynnas, 2 Azaroks. We still have the Ronas as a way to loop through our deck and the Runesteins. Now this deck is more of a legend style deck than the other route. Glazov, Inti, Slowgurk. So except it's more about Legends matters versus the actual combo, but we could just naturally just do the combo if we need to. We have a couple Mox Ambers at the bottom there as a way to ramp us into our later parts of the game. Sideboard, we have 3 Fatal Push for aggro, 2 Thought Seizes for control, combo, and remove interaction. 2 Redains as a way to fight through Rafts. It also helps against sacrifice. We have 2 Ashioks to help fight through graveyard strategies like Phoenix. It also helps against Lotus Field, since they typically search through with Charm or the Scrying to find their lands. It's nice to be able to shut all that off. What is very interesting about this, we are playing Surloof, Realm Eater. It's kind of a wrath on a wolf, so that's pretty sweet overall. It's legendary. Then we have 3 Thalias to push off removal. Any kind of non-creature interaction, so control decks too. So that is 4 or 5 color Legends Matter for Pioneer, so that is pretty sweet. The next 2 decks are kind of also hand in hand. So through PayPal, I'm offering for $20 play your deck through League. I also give you an article about how to improve the list, and as well as some sideboard guides and very particular matchups. If you want to check out the link, is in the description. Now let's get back into the video. So next on my list is basically Selesnya Taxes. This deck is playing Peacekeeper, Aven Interrupter for a little bit of tempo play. Spellbinder off of Coco. We could do it basically when they untap draw and just get them. We have 1 Kellen, kind of just a weird card in general. But I do like the 3 Werewolf Pack Leaders for card draw. It's a decent body, and it's a good beat stick. We have 2 Thalias as a way to tax our opponent. 3 Skyclaves for a little bit of removal. We have a Emria's Call for a kind of a late game. And in addition to the Skyclave appetizers, we have a Brutal Cathar for a little bit of removal. Then we have 3 Archon of Emirius because we do want to actively fight Phoenix. And they typically cast a lot of cards on any given turn. And that is the main board with our 8 elves. We have 2 Jushtanis in the main. It's a decent 4/4 for 4 or 3. And it just gives a lot of additional abilities like Double Strike, Vigilance, and Death Touch. So it does help with the aggressive plan in the deck. We have 2 Damping Spheres in the side for Lotus Field and maybe Mono Green. Never really been a fan of Damping Sphere for Mono Green though, especially since they just beat you down. We have 2 Portable Holes for aggro. It's nice to be able to answer hero without giving them the dice trigger. 2 Invasions of Gomacon for tax effect. Plus, it also flips over and gives us our creatures a little bit of protection. 2 Rest in Peace for Phoenix Fang. I don't really think I like this against Sacrifice because, I mean, they just went through it. It can slow them down, I guess, with the cat triggers. But it's not, I don't think it's that great. We have 3 Bodyguards for a little extra removal. So we cut Avens for the Bodyguards, or you could even cut the Archon of Emeria, depending on how you want to do it. We also have Knockout Blows for aggro, so along with that, we cut our Avens and Emerias for those. We have Kalos Reconstruction. In case we face a grinding matchup, right, we can maybe cut back a Brutal Cathar in that matchup for a little bit of late game action. And then we have Allure into the third path. It answers artifacts, enchantments, and I mean, all else fails, you just draws you cards as you try to beat them down with a decent Sweet Cocoa Taxes deck. Let me know down in the comment section, like I said, which one of these decks so far is your favorite. We have 2 more to go, and the last one I'm going to talk about a little bit more about. So let's get into them. So recently, I featured a Soul Sisters deck. Turns out there's a 5.0 version of this Soul Sisters deck that I kind of want to try at some point. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to revisit this deck. It's still playing the Innkeepers, Veterans, a couple Flankers. It's a very interesting choice. It does gain life. It also gets a Graveyard Hate for Lotus Field, or Phoenix, Lotus Field, whatever. You have a couple Heliod's. I played 3. They only played 2. 2 is probably the correct number. And we still play 4 Channelers, 4 Voice of the Blessed. Both those cards actually are really good. Then we have 3 Moon Dancers as additional copies of our little Primate effect. We have an Innkeeper, like I said, with the Veteran to help gain a lot of life with the cases. Now, we have Bodyguard plus Skyclave Appetizers, 3 and 3, for a little bit of removal. Diverse amount of removal. Sideboard, though, we can just naturally turn it into a Taxes deck. We have 3 Peacekeepers. We have 2 Archon of Emerias, which kind of help with taxes. Also, we have Authority of the Consuls to gain a little bit of life. Make sure our aggro opponent is all their stuff is ET being tapped. For Graveyard Heat, we have Ooze because it gains life. 3 Portable Holes for aggro. We have a Might to gain life against artifacts and enchantments. It's kind of nice, especially since there is that Boros Creativity deck that's going around with Caretaker's Talent. You just get rid of that for good. Like I said, we have Redain for sweepers. Also, against Rakdos Sacrifice to be able to basically stop the the Mayhem Devil triggers damage. And that is Soul Sisters for Pioneer. This might be something I might try again. I'm going to be on the lookout for new, I would say, cards for this deck. If I'm assuming, I would imagine, in Foundations, we should get another Veteran. If we don't get another one-mana Veteran in Foundations, I'm gonna lose it. Because it seems like the perfect set, especially since they know people on Arena love Soul Sisters. So I would think they would want something like this for 5 years. So let's get into the last list, which I think is actually perfect for this current meta. I am now offering Patreon and Locals content exclusive. It includes sideboard guides, budget guides, exclusive videos, as well as other types of content. If you want to check out the link, is in the description. Now, let's get back into the video. So last on my list is Yoran Fires. Now, what makes this deck so good is it plays an Eidolon of Rhetoric, which is really good in the current meta, against Lotus Field and against Phoenix. This deck randomly is playing Angel of Serenity. Somehow this card is back on the menu. It comes down, I believe it exiles 3 creatures, which is just kind of sweet. Elishnorn is pretty good in the current meta, and it doubles our Skyclave Appetizers, Chain to the Rocks, Portable Holes, and our Bindings if they all have relevant to targets. We have Moonblessed Cleric to help find our Incarnation, our Up the Beanstalk's Fable, Path to the World Tree as a way to find our lands. Also, the good thing to sacrifice to get a 3-drop like Eidolon or Rhetoric or Deputy of Detention. Also can find our Moonblessed Cleric. We have 1 Skyclave Appetizers for a little bit of removal for 2 target. Throwback is just a great 3-drop. Pound for pound, it's never bad in any given matchup. We have Kinrith for a way to give our stuff haste. Reanimate, Agent of Treachery. You have Rest in Peace in the main, which is kind of weird since you're not always guaranteed to face a graveyard hit deck. I guess they really want to get rid of Phoenix. I don't know. And then we have Elder Gargaroth. The nice 6/5 drop. We can sacrifice a 4-drop like Fires. Get it. And basically it just stonewalls Phoenix. Gains life, attacks, has vigilance, and trample. And you just make a body of 3/3s or draw cards, which is really good in a tempo play, a deck matchup like Phoenix. If all else fails, we get to game 2. We have another Rest in Peace, because, one's not enough, that. 3 Dovin's Vetoes as a way to fight control and combo, which is really nice because this deck does kind of struggle in that department. We have 1 Rending Volley as a way to fight through small creature decks like humans, Fang, spirits, stuff like that. 1 High Noon helps against Phoenix. It helps against Lotus Field. It helps against any kind of combo deck that's casting a lot of spells in any given turn. Same with Archon of Emeria. So we have multiple stack layers in this deck for many of the matchups you'll see. We do have a Mystical Dispute for control and spirits. I imagine spirits is probably one of our worst matchups. And then, of course, we also have a pretty bad control matchup. Of course, we got to address that and tighten it up against that matchup. Knockout Blow is for aggro, especially the Rakdos aggro deck that's everywhere. We have a Nimble Larcenist as we can bring this against control. It looks at their hand, exiles a card. Pretty decent body. 1 Buzz Crusher for Lotus Field. In any kind of deck that depends on a land. So even something like Control, where they kind of actively want their man lands, it's kind of nice to be able to blow those up too. Yoran to blink our Buzz Crusher. Yoran to stop the sacrifice stacks, which is very pretty dominant in some regard. I think it's definitely in the top 5 meta decks. I would say at the top of the meta, of course, is Phoenix, Rakdos aggro. Then you have Jund Sacrifice, probably mono green, and then you probably have maybe Angels or maybe something like Control. So it's kind of nice to have that. And against the Control matchup, we also have an Emrakul. So yeah, take that Control opponent. You kind of deserve it. Not really. So don't at me in the comments if you're a Control player about that last little sly comment. And it's nice because we also have Glasspool Mimic as kind of a nice copy effect. And then we have Beza in the main to help fight against aggro decks as well. So overall, and like I said at the bottom here, we just have nothing but lands. I really like this deck and its current position in this meta. It has everything answered in the main. We don't really need Titan of Industry, so it makes sense that we cut that for Angel of Serenity, which is actually kind of based in this current meta. I mean, exiling 3 creatures, that just stonewalls Rakdos aggro. So which one of these decks do you think is the best deck in the current meta? And regarding to non-meta decks, I think it's actually this one because it has the best cards for every top tier meta deck. And I think it's actually pretty good. But I want to know down in the comment section what you think. How would you construct one of these decks? And which one of these decks would you want to see me play? And until next time, hopefully we get one more of these in before the new season, but we'll see. It's very hit and miss on people featuring new cards or new deck ideas. So it's nice to see some decks get some love here. Mainly I wanted to cover this deck also because of the fact that Duskborn, this is a good foundation when Duskborn drops, which brings in the new Overlord cycle, which is going to be really good in Fires of Invention and Enigmatic Incarnation. I think this is a good starting point for a build for that to bring those in. Until next time, like I said, let me know all you want me to know down in the comment section. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification for future videos, and go on Twitch. Hit that follow button over there. My goal is to reach 550 followers. So please help me do that before I go to DC. And I'll talk to you soon.